Hello, friends. Welcome and namaste. You're going to want a strap today. So just have that off to the side for now, anyway. And let's come into an upright posture. That can be sitting cross-legged, kneeling, a leg out if a knee is sensitive, sitting on the edge of something, a chair, a couch. Just taking a couple of moments, a couple of breaths, noticing the earth underneath you. Noticing if there's tension being held in the body. To stay upright, you need some muscular contraction, right? What's the bare minimum you need to sit up tall? And check in all those areas that don't need to be turned on right now and try to soften them. And open the eyes. And for the first things we're going to do with the arm, we're actually going to do it down on the ground. So start on your back. And once you get there, you can have the feet on the ground or the legs extended, right? Bring your arms in by your side. And this is something we do on a pretty regular basis. Inhale that right arm up and overhead, wherever that is for your shoulder. Just getting in there, right? Exhale that down. So minimal muscular effort, I call it. Inhale, really soft joints, slow movement. Exhale, bring that arm back down. Now, when you go up this time, let your head rock to the left, the opposite direction. And notice I said rock. You'll exhale it down. So that's a pattern now, right? You inhale, arm overhead, exhale, arm down. So keep going with that a few times. We're keeping the weight of the skull on the ground. We're not engaging all the muscles to lift the weight. We are, however, engaging the minimum amount we need to just let the head rock the opposite direction of the arm. The next time your arm is overhead, right arm, leave it there. Now you're going to keep your elbow as close to the ground as you can in your shoulder girdle. Bend the elbow, the right elbow, out to the right a little bit. So my elbow is bent, hovering above the ground, maybe on the ground. And when you re-extend the arm in a moment, think of re-extending it from the right side waist, right? So hug the muscles of the shoulders slightly, and then reach those right fingertips overhead. Straighten the arm again and lengthen out of the right side waist. Let that head be soft. It may or may not roll in a little further. And arm comes down, head comes back, arms in Shavasana for just a moment, just noticing. One of the things I love about working what I call monodirectionally, one side first, is we really start to feel the effects because we have one side that hasn't been moved at all. Arms can come back in, right arm can stay where it is, but left arm comes in, and then you inhale it over. So first, no head movement, just isolate into that shoulder girdle. Every inhale is overhead, every exhale is down. If you don't mind, do two where your head doesn't turn and your awareness is 100% around that shoulder, noticing what's happening there. And then when you're ready, right, you'll start to rock your head the opposite direction of the arm going overhead. Every time you inhale, arm goes over. Every time you exhale, arm comes down by the side. If it feels okay with the neck, the head turns. But just to reiterate, we're not lifting the weight of the skull. That means your chin does come down towards your right collarbone, and that is accurate. The next time the left arm is overhead, pause. You can just do that, right? Otherwise, keeping the elbow near the earth, bend the left elbow over to the left. It's either hovering above it, maybe laying on it. Just pause for a moment. And again, before you do this next motion, you're going to think about reaching out of the left side waist, but gently hug the muscles, the stabilizers of the shoulder, the left shoulder joint. And then gently reach those fingertips back. Again, lengthen and straighten the arm and lift or stretch out of that left side waist. And naturally, if I keep my neck muscles soft, my head does turn a little more when I do that reach. That's not the objective. That's just what my body does naturally. I'm saying allow it. Bring that left arm down, head comes back to center, Shavasana style arms for a moment. Okay, next piece. You're going to go ahead and you're going to roll over onto your belly. And I'm going to actually turn this way so you'll be able to see my right arm a little bit more. From your belly, oh, sorry, I never took my cell phone out of my pocket. Bring your arms out from the sides just a little bit. My elbows are bent. It's going to be a strange form of low cobra, right? I'm on my 10 finger pads. You could be on palms if that's too much. Let your elbows lift up towards the sky. Notice that when they do, the shoulders roll down, right? So now push into the fingers, lift up into low cobra, and try to move your shoulder blades a little together, retraction, not major, and a little bit down towards the buttocks, depression. So a little retraction and a little depression. And lengthen through the crown of the head, keep the belly toned in, all the usual suspects, right? But really root down through those finger pads while working the upper back. Take another breath. And then stack your hands on top of each other, bring the forehead down, pause. Here we are in crocodile, or a variation thereof. Okay, next, you're going to reach your right arm out to the side, tee it out. Bring your left hand in the same position we just had it in. From here, we are going to roll under our side, but before you do, I believe it to be more beneficial if we do a little conditioning. So you're going to push down into your right palm and finger pads. Get a little juice in that right shoulder, a little lift even away from the floor potentially. Keep that. Now roll onto your right side body. You can use your left hand to push the floor away. So I still push my right hand down and hug that right shoulder joint in and around the joint. I need to bend my right elbow a little bit because I lock my elbow out. So that's not everyone, but if you're a hyperextender, be careful of that. Now I'm going to add one more piece. I'm going to gently pull my right hand towards my right shoulder. It does not move. It's that traction action I love, right? So energetically, I push down to the floor and pull towards my shoulder. And without really moving much, that hand, I get more action in that right shoulder and chest. Okay, roll back down onto your belly. I'll switch the other side just in case. I think this side has more information. I tee my left arm out. I bring my right hand on the ground and my arm comes into, I always call this training wheel. I think of training wheels on kids' bikes and tricycles. So push down into your left hand and finger pads. Feel how that gives buoyancy to the arm and the shoulder. Keep that. Push into the right finger pads a little bit. Roll onto your left side body. You can bend the knees a little or not, but you're going to go ahead and keep pushing down into that left hand, letting that left shoulder stay active even while we stretch it. That's just a suggestion. Of course, you can just let it be limp and push into it. That would work too. I'm not in your body. Again, I don't know what's best, right? I have to remind my left elbow to stay soft. I lock that joint out. Now, last piece, without the hand moving. It's on a sticky mat, or pretend it is anyway. Pull, energetically pull the hand towards your left shoulder. My elbow bends just a titch more, but I want you to notice what happens muscularly around the upper left arm shoulder. And roll down, crocodile. Breathe. Bring those hands next to your low floating, or your chest. Sorry, we're going to go up towards down dog. Come into low cobra, pull the belly up. Kind of a quick transition back into downward facing dog. So strange when I use my headpiece with this particular camera app. Um, it echoes back into my ear, which is actually very difficult to work with. Take another breath. Now notice, I don't care if your legs are bent or what's going on, but I want you to notice your shoulders and what's happening. The arms, the upper back, the neck. Walk your hands back to your feet. Hands on the hips. Inhale, come all the way up, and we're standing. Go ahead and grab your strap. If I'm cut off a little bit at the top, I think I might be in this space. I don't think you need to see it. You'll be able to get enough information from the rest of my arms, but I'll step back as far as I can. So start about shoulder distance. You'll go wider, and we'll just out on the strap as much as we need to when we get to that point, right? Actually, maybe I'll come down on my knees to make sure for this first one. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to inhale, root your feet down, stand in Tadasana, strongly, right? And come on up and go back until you feel like, ooh, at shoulder distance, I can go no further than this without all kinds of funky stuff happening. Soften your shoulders down, right? Try to keep your arms fairly straight. Now go as wide as you need to. Slowly let slack out to try to bring those arms back and down. Try to hold that distance. If you have shoulder sensitivities, release one side of the strap, bring it around front. Otherwise, play with shoulders staying down, arms staying pretty straight. Don't lock out your joints to bring that forward. And go ahead and move at your own pace. I like to inhale up and exhale down on both the forward and the backward. Again, if the coming up from behind you causes any sensitivity in the shoulder or just unsuredness, don't do it. Just keep bringing it around front and do it from around front. Notice if there are parts of your spine that want to give way because your shoulders are tight. They can. My ribs are going to come out a little bit, but I don't want them to go out all the way. Otherwise, my shoulders continue to stay tight, and that low, well, it's where my low back and thoracic connect. That will be continually and a little too flexible through the years. The next time you're forward again, stay forward. And just to play with it, come in a little bit. Don't be crazy pants, right? And rooting down. You might have to widen out again, and that's okay. But maybe after being there for a little bit, you can now come in just a touch on that strap. Let's do one more like that. Shoulders moving down, soft joints, as soft as they can be. Giving slack if you need to, being patient with these beautiful shoulders. And then just put the strap over the neck and just pause and just notice the effects of that. You might feel many different things. We're all different. But for a lot of us, we're really feeling, I'm going to say, neurological flushing is what T.S. Little calls it. This energy that now is coming through these areas that might have been really tight in your front shoulders, chest, armpits, maybe something like that. Again, don't take my word for it. Be your own best teacher. Notice. One more piece, and then we'll be complete with this practice anyway. Have your strap over your right shoulder. I'm going to mirror you. So when I turn around, we're going to be opposite. You're going to bring the left hand back and find out where, without stressing that shoulder too much first round. We're going to do this twice. You're going to grab onto that strap. And then take the strap with your right hand and go ahead. Sorry, trying to think how I wanted to do this. I wanted to do, this is what I was going to do. Ignore everything I just said. Sorry. You're going to have the strap around front of you. Come up to where we just were. You're going to bring the right hand back and down. So I put slack in it, right? I just slid down the strap a little bit until I can bring that hand a little behind me. And the main thing we're going to focus on is this left arm, right? So straighten the left arm, but soften the shoulder down into the socket. And then I'm going to use this as leverage, and I'm going to pull as if I'm pulling my right arm behind my head. Hypermobile shoulders, be careful. Don't go too far. You'll just continue to push it into an overstretched spot. Everyone, think about your outer armpit. Not everyone, really the flexible friends, right? Wrap that outer arm, put in even as you bring the arm over. If your head touches the arm, let your head push into the arm pushes into head, and come back up. So you might need a little more slack, but you're going to do the opposite side. So the left arm is going to go down. Just start with neutral, meaning shoulder and arm in line with each other for a second. Wrap outer armpit in. That's not everybody. And then I'm using that left hand and I'm going to pull that arm across like it could go behind my head or to the midline or however you want to think about it. If my head and arm make contact, push your head back into your arm, push the feet down, my rib flexible friends. Don't get rigid and get off, right? But do try to bring some support around the spine, all sides of it. Coming back up, releasing the strap down. If you feel like you need movement between, I wouldn't take that away from you. Now we're going to that spot. Strap over right hand. Left hand's going to come back and grab it. Don't go too high yet. We'll get there in a second for those who it's available. That right arm, turn your palm up and pat yourself on the back. Get the strap. The elbow is going to want to go wide. Keep the elbow forward, right? And then I'm going to let that elbow lift up. Now I might be able to cinch in a little on the strap. If you can get your fingertips to touch, I would, go ahead and take that. They can wrap into each other. But don't be too anxious to go into that immediately, right? I like to stay a little separate and work these two lines first. So we just did that upper arm. So imagine it lifting up and then your forearm kind of comes behind the head, right? So push the forearm and the head together. Wrap the outer armpit forward. And that left arm, let that left shoulder blade move a little up and then retraction and depression like we did earlier when we were on our bellies and the arm was out to the side. And then maybe you creep in a little further. You probably lose a little bit of the stuff we just built, so you might come back to it. If your fingers can clasp, all the power to you. I don't do it especially on this side because this shoulder goes into a dysfunctional pattern I've been trying for years to get it go out of. Take another breath. Okay, bring that down. Let the arms come over to the other side. The strap. Bring that right hand back. And again, don't grab too high in the beginning. I'll get you there, I promise. Left arm, turn the palm up, grab that strap. Elbow in, elbow up, maybe creep in a little bit, but not to your full capacity. First, work this. Let your arm, Outer armpit roll in, arms stay in. And then again, it's almost like you pull behind the head. If your forehead and your head make contact, push the two into each other and lengthen through the spine. That right arm, let that right shoulder blade lift up an inch if even. Then move it a little into retraction and a little into depression and breathe. Maybe you creep in. But again, if everything kind of gets lost and you get stuck in that position, you can't come back into some of the work we just did. I would just question if which is more beneficial, right? If you're getting your fingertips to clasp, maybe it's just the fingertips. Maybe you work towards coming in a little further, right? Breathing, release that. Release the strap off to the side. Go ahead and come into downward dog one more time. And as always, first thing, right, get into downward dog. Feel free to bend the knees. It's not at all about the legs. We did nothing to open up the hamstrings. But once you get in there, and that spine feels pretty, what we'll call neutral, I'm curious if your shoulders, upper arms, upper back, neck, if any of that has shifted from the last time we were here. Maybe there's some information that we just used with our arm overhead, and you can think of that coming in, outer armpits, wrapping in. Come on down, hands and knees, couple of cat cows. And coming into a seated posture. Now, if you have time, please take a shavasana, and you could just lie on your back. Let's all of us take just a few breaths together, regardless. Buttocks, bones rooting down. If you're lying down, relaxing into the floor. Long spine, hopefully, wherever you are. Soft body. The parts that do not need to be working, let them soften. Bring those hands together in front of the chest. Inhale. As you bow your head in, just taking a moment of gratitude. We've got shoulders. Namaste.